Anora comes home with 5 Oscars including Best Picture, Adrien Brody wins his 2nd Oscar for leading role, and my favourite movie of the year didn't get an Oscar. This was actually my first time watching the Oscars this year, and even though there were some cringe moments and holy shit there were so many ads, I really enjoyed myself. Conan O'Brien was great. I've never been a fan of talk show hosts, but he was always my favourite. So the first film I want to talk about is the movie that got the most success from tonight, and that is Anora. I actually didn't watch the film when I watched the Oscars, so I was like, you know what, I'm actually gonna watch it right before I make this video. So I watched it literally like a couple hours ago. It's quite an eye-opening experience, which I love. I love those movies that kind of teaches you and like gives you perspective and stuff. For those of you who don't know, the main character is a stripper and she gets herself caught up with some drama with a Russian family, a super rich Russian family. And the way she gets treated just before being a stripper is super eye-opening. Like, I already had an idea of how they were treated, but to watch it on screen, it just provides a whole new perspective, and I'm really glad I watched the film because of that. Now, what I'm super impressed by is that the film was made with a budget of $6 million, which is incredible because I assumed the whole movie, I was like, wow, this is a really, really good looking movie. It's definitely got a budget of at least 30 million or something. So to see an independent film as low budget as this do so well and even win 5 Oscars is just amazing to see. I'm really glad it won the Oscar, not only because it's a great film, but also because, you know, everyone roots for the underdog and it did so well with such a low budget. So I'm really happy that it exists. For those of you who have seen my 2024 movie ranking, you would know that Dune Part 2 ranked extremely highly in that ranking, and so even though I technically wanted that movie to win Best Picture, I sort of knew it wouldn't happen, and so I really just wanted the substance to win. But after watching Anora, I'm really glad it won Best Picture. I just think it's so healthy how the Best Picture winner was won by someone who didn't have a very huge budget, and especially because Sean Baker, the director of the film, in one of his speeches he advised and kind of promoted filmmakers to make more small budget and independent films. And I think he also deserves winning Best Director because making such a high quality film with such a low budget is very difficult to do. Alright, I'm gonna finish the outer ring before I keep talking about Anora. Okay, so this is what it looks like so far. I'm gonna add a roof, and then this will be covered full of dirt, and I'll grab like a few grass blocks, and it'll be like a full greenery. And so I'll be, you know, chilling over here. I'll probably add some fences, and then boop, loads of cows and sheep and pigs. Like, oh, this is gonna look so nice. And then, oh my goodness, and then this is what it looks like from the bottom. That looks so cool, man. So yeah, another brilliant thing about Anora is the main actress. I think her name's Mickey something. It'll come up on the screen. She was amazing though. I've never seen her in anything else before. Particularly when the Russians invaded her home and then she's like freaking the fuck out. And it did not feel like acting. It felt very real. I was like, oh my god, wait, this girl's actually amazing. So to me, definitely a deserved Oscar win for her. And speaking of Oscar winners, I want to talk about Adrien Brody. I actually haven't seen this film yet. I saw it and I was like, oh my god, this looks really good. But it was 3.5 hours and I just never got around to it. But I'm definitely going to watch it now because I love Adrien Brody. I was a huge fan of The Pianist. I think that's a brilliant film and he is incredible in that movie. Alright, I'm going to do one of those classic before and after edits. So this is my first time doing it, so let's hope it looks good. There we go. Made a huge circle, and then once I fall down, boop, there we go. Alright, so I've got all the dirt in the world from digging out so much down there, which is surely enough to cover this whole area with dirt. But I need Silk Touch in order to get a grass block up here. So, guess I'm going to get some levels at the nether and then come back with, hopefully, a Silk Touch pickaxe or shovel. So yeah, and the next category I want to talk about is animated feature film. Now, I fucking adore The Wild Robot. I think it was the best movie that came out of 2024. Not just animated movie, but just movie in general. I think it's extremely emotional. It has a great story. The characters are amazing. I couldn't praise the movie enough. So I definitely wanted that film to win Best Animated Feature. And then it didn't win it. and I was really surprised, but at the same time, I haven't seen Flow. And so I decided to look into it, and I was like, okay, what's Flow about? And it has a budget of 3 million. And I was like, wait, what? And I was like, are you sure? And so I like double checked and everything, and I looked at the footage. It does not look like a $3 million film. It's probably the best looking film comparative to a budget. I cannot believe how nice it looks. And so I decided to research, like, okay, well, how many of these other Oscar nominations have really low budget? And most of them do. Like, The Brutalist, who also did really well at the Oscars, was only $10 million budget. And then Conclave and Emilia Perez have a $20 million budget. Which, you know, might sound like a lot compared to the films we just talked about, but comparing it to something like Joker 2, which, you know, was a horrible film that flopped and everything, it had a budget of $200 million. So, you really don't need a good budget to do well at the Oscars or just to be a great film. Almost every film that did well this year, apart from maybe Dune, had a really low budget, and that's just a good sign for the industry. And so I definitely like how Sean Baker made an announcement being like, oh yeah, filmmakers, please make more independent films, because it's not just his film that did well, it's so many others, and I'm just so glad about that. So the next film I definitely want to talk about is Dune Part 2. So The Wild Robot was my favorite film, and Dune Part 2 was definitely my second favorite. And it's so interesting because when I first watched the first Dune film, I was one of those people that just didn't get it. It was way too complicated, and I just like, wow, like what is happening? And then when I rewatched Dune in order to watch the second one, I fucking loved it. I think it was so much better on rewatch, so I was super excited to watch the second one, and it surpassed expectations. For me personally, it has the potential to become one of those Star Wars, Lord of the Rings type franchises. And I was lucky enough to watch that film twice in the cinema. And both times, I was in absolute awe of the sound and the soundtrack. And thankfully it won an Oscar for sound. I would have been so shocked if it didn't, because I think not only does it have some of the best sound this year, but honestly over the last decade, I was absolute awe of like the spaceships, the sandworms, even like the environment. It was all elevated so much higher by the excellent sound design. But the same could be said for its soundtrack, and it wasn't even nominated. Now, I love the Wild Robot score, and I wanted it to win, but only because Dune wasn't even nominated. Actually, I remember one of my first videos is about my favorite film soundtracks, and I had Dune on that list. I think it was about 9th or something, which really goes to show how much I love that score. But hopefully it gets like the Lord of the Rings treatment, where the first two films, you know, they get a little bit of Oscars here and there, and then if the third one's incredible, it'll like do really, really well. Hopefully that happens. For those of you who don't know, the third Lord of the Rings film did incredibly at the Oscars. I think it won 13 Oscars, tied the most with Titanic. So surely that happens with Dune Part 3. Oh my fucking god. I don't even have feather falling. How did I not die? My heart left my body. Holy shit. Alright, that's a sign to go home. Fuck me. I made it back, and look at that. Woo! There's this 18% chance this is Silk Cut, so I'm gonna risk it. Shit. Oh, yes! Oh! Wait, I think the Enderman that just killed was holding a grass block. Oh my god, it's so lucky. That's all I needed was just one. Let's go. So, a little fact about myself. Christopher Nolan is my favorite director. I know, it's a bait pick, but come on, like, I think 4 of his movies are in my top 10 favorites, so shut up. But in terms of visual directors, in terms of the style of one, I have to go with Denis Villeneuve. And so, of course, I loved the visual aspect of Dune Part 2. And I was really, really surprised that it didn't win cinematography. I even told my brother like last night, and he was shocked as well. I genuinely think Dune is not even one of the most beautiful movies of this year, but just in general as well. I really rate that movie so highly. Particularly with those scenes in the other planet when everything was black and white. That's just genius. It looked so visually stunning. Every single shot felt so cinematic, and I was just in absolute awe. And also another thing about the cinematography category was that Challenges, a movie that I didn't like, but I still acknowledge how cool it looked. didn't even get nominated. But also its soundtrack was amazing as well. So even though it's a movie I don't like, it should have gotten a few Oscar nominations, especially for cinematography. Huge shout out to Gladiator 2 for its costume design. I'll be honest, I don't have that much knowledge when it comes to costume design. I don't really look at that when I watch a movie. But one thing I can tell you was that when I was watching Gladiator 2, it really felt like it was set in the Roman Empire, like in terms of its set designs, which also wasn't nominated. But I think particularly its costume design was very, very good. But I do have to say that the winner was Wicked. And that's another movie I didn't particularly enjoy that much. But I have to admit that the costume design was very, very good. And because it won costume design, I also thought it would have won makeup. But no, they gave it to The Substance, which I'm so glad about, because for a moment I thought it wouldn't have won a single Oscar, which is such a shame because I love The Substance. But it came home with one award, so I'm happy about that. Oh my god, so many— No! You motherfucker! Alright, I got sheep, cows, pigs somewhere over there, and then I put in some chickens, but they fell off immediately. Once it looks green everywhere, it'll look really good. But you can see the dirt still, so like only slightly, so I'm gonna like fix that so you can only see like black and grey. But otherwise I'm pretty happy with this. Now the last 30 seconds or so of this video is a voiceover because I was doing some finishing touches to the bass whilst listening to a uni lecture, and it was actually great. As you could probably guess, I'm doing a film degree, and it's just something so special about learning something I genuinely care about. That shit rarely happened at school, and so the fact that I not only get to learn about how to make a film, but also talk about it to you guys is genuinely making me so happy. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you guys for watching. I didn't get to cover every category. I mean, I'll be honest, I'm not going to critically analyze Amelia Paris song that I forgot even existed. And I also didn't watch every movie from every category. But I'm definitely going to do that for next year's Oscars. I can't wait for the 2025 movie ranking. It's going to be a whole lot more than 27 movies. Well, here we go. This is what my base looks like right now. I'm actually pretty proud of it. I think it looks pretty sick. If we go up here and we like zoom in, we can see all the animals. So yeah, quite flat. I might make it more 3D, but at the moment, I'm definitely going to keep this base how it is. I'm really liking it. I also really like this down there. It makes it look like it's a— This will look really cool with the green beam as well. So yeah, definitely happy with it. So yeah, drop us up if you haven't already. I'm actually really close to 500 subs now, and I'll see you guys next week with another video. See ya.